What is up, gamers? It's Geo here, and welcome to my new series, Star Lore, where we hop into all these Star Citizen lore. Now, with this first topic that I'm going to go over, it's going to be the timeline because it makes sense and lays the blueprint for the other things that we'll be talking about in the future. And also, this is just a small summary of all the lore, so if you guys think I'm missing something, that's because this is just a small summary. I'm going to leave the links to where I got all my information at, but if you guys want to read the full thing, feel free. The links are in the description, but it would take me forever to read. So this is just a small summary, and some of the words in there I may mispronounce. I'm sorry. So don't get all crazy on me if I mispronounce something. But with that being said, let's go ahead and get into it. 2075. Dr. Scott Childress and his team had completed the first self-sustaining quantum drive engine, capable of achieving 1/100th the speed of light. For the first time, humanity could explore the solar system with unprecedented speed. 2113. RSI develops the first machine capable of performing terraforming. 2120. The governments of the world together assembled and deployed teams to terraform Mars. 2125. 2 weeks before declaring victory in the terraforming effort on Mars, that atmosphere failed to stick to the ground, quickly killing 4,876 citizens. This war later referred to the Great Mars Tragedy of 25. 2140. RSI released the Zeus, the first spacecraft both capable of regular short-distance flights and affordable enough to be available to more than governments and the super wealthy. 2157. Senator Stephen Nagayan, whose younger brother Sean, a scientist, died in the Great Mars Tragedy of 25, announced the successful completion of the terraforming project on Mars. 2214. RSI released the Poseidon, a new generation of spacecraft capable of a speed of 1/10 the speed of light. It also introduced the augmented hydrogen scrubber, which facilitated fuel collection while in flight. 2232. The Artemis was launched. It carried 5,000 civilians on a mission to reach the closest planet beyond our solar system that could be successfully terraformed. The flight was predicted to take 200 years. 2262. 3 ships, including the Goodman, lost control and disappeared while flying through an area near Neptune on 3 different occasions within a few months. The last transmission from the Goodman indicates that one of his crew saw something, but what he saw was never identified. No wreckage was ever found of any of these ships. The area was subsequently declared a no-fly zone. 2271. Another film focusing on Nick Croshaw, the first man to discover and successfully navigate through a jump point, was released by Global Nexus. The film covers how to understand the anomaly of jump points and how to constantly trigger them. A reviewer commented, "The dangers of jump point navigation are like piloting through an asteroid field with afterburners on." 2380. After the discovery of 3 more jump points, 2 in Croshaw and 1 in our home system, and several scientific advancements, representatives of all the governments on Earth met to discuss how to best step forward into a new era. They agreed that the people of Earth should join together under one government. Over the next few years, the governments agreed, and stepping away from their individual identities, formed the United Nations of Earth. 2438. On June 12th, Vernon Tarr, an explorer, made contact with the first alien race humans had ever met, the Banu. Tan was looking for undiscovered jump points in the Davian system when his scans detected the presence of an unidentified ship. Tar opened fire but stopped when he recognized that it was not human. Janil Sagalovich was among the first humans to respond in the contact and managed the dialogue between the humans and the Banu. In October 2438, human and Banu representatives signed the first peace and trade accord. 2460. Earth was overcrowded. To take advantage of this, RSI launched the Air You Breathe marketing campaign for their commercial flight division. I want people to understand that they can have a new life. That's what the universe is offering us, a chance to start again. It was hugely successful. 2516. Wei Yin Song, one of the lead UNE surveyors, reported of what can only be described as a confluence, a nexus in System 342A. She and her team quickly identified 4 jump points beyond the one they entered through. Additionally, they found a super-Earth, planet 342A.03M. She reported that 342A.03M had naturally oxygen-based atmosphere, indigenous vegetation, vast oceans, and temperate climates, as well as indication of intelligent life, though none have yet been located. They named 342A.03M Terra, in honor of Earth, and recommended that it be established as forward operating base for terraforming and expansion into the adjoining systems. 2523. The United Nations of Earth reorganized itself into the United Planets of Earth. Under the UPE, each planet was represented as a whole and led by a tribunal, a high advocate for maintaining law, a high general for maintaining military issues, and a high secretary who maintained the infrastructure. 2530. Gaia Planet Services, a terraforming company, sent a team of 276 individuals to establish themselves on an unformed world and began terraforming. They failed to do proper scans of the planet before landing and assembling their Automa processors. Shortly after the work began, a large unit of Jans captured the team and released their foreman, Charles Baxter, as a gesture of good faith. Over 57 days, human leaders engaged in negotiation with the Jan Empire, ending in release over the hostages. Though the UPE had managed to avoid war, relations with the Jan were tense. 2541. Another alien race, the Tavarian, were first identified on Elysium 4, east of Earth. While they were not a bloodthirsty species, they simply honored the art of combat. Instead of learning from us, they began our first interspecies war. UPE military leaders became concerned that the Tavarian War would draw a great deal of military power from the west of Earth, where UPE units had been standing to respond to hostilities from Jan Empire. In response, the UPE instituted a draft. Fortunately, a young ambitious officer, Ivor Messer, captured public attention when he distinguished himself in the Battle of Idris IV. The UPE quickly realized this and turned Messer into the face of the Tavarian War. 2546. After the Tavarian War had ended, substantial terrorist attacks began happening across the UPE. It was determined that the bombs had been made in part with Jan technology, but the terrorists had not been found. Additionally, several weaknesses of the traditional UPE system were becoming abundantly clear. In response, the people selected High General Messer to become the prime citizen. The UPE effectively became an autocracy, giving the prime citizen ultimate power, maintaining the tribunal and senate to advise the prime citizen. 2610. Near the end of the Second Tavarian War, 2603 to 2610, Aaron Fring painted one of the most enduring images from that war. Mr. Fring had served the UPE as a field medic and was living in Elysium 4 after leaving the military. In 2610, the Tavarian warlord Carathal re-emerged from the black with a rebuilt Tavarian battle fleet. His goal was to reclaim his home world, Elysium 4. Squadron 42, as well as the local humans, rose up against Carathal. Though the Tavarian lost over 70% of their force, the remainers, including their warlord, flew desperately into the atmosphere of Elysium 4. Mr. Fring happened to be on the walk at that time and watched the Tavarian fall in fire and crash into the ground. His painting, Tears of Fire, was inducted into the archive of the UPE Historical Vault for Antiquity in 2633. 2638. Nadir Pedwani, a Tehran mayor, announced that he wanted Terra neighboring systems to seek separation from the Imperator and the UEE. Fiery political and media campaigns against the movement followed. When the movement came to a vote, it failed, and the Tehran mayor, Hassan Kirin, then announced that he had found evidence of voter tampering and outright fraud by employees on UEE payroll. This evidence was entered into the court system and was part of his ongoing federal case against the Imperator Messer 8. 2 months after that announcement, unnamed sources from within the government claimed that Shan-funded terrorists had infiltrated various positions within the UEE. Hassan Kirin, a former Tehran mayor, as multiple sources indicate, might be implicated. 2681. A small settlement in the Orion system, west of Earth, was attacked and destroyed by multiple unidentified attackers. Theft was thought to have been the motivation. However, several inconsistencies existed. Sometimes objects at value were left while seemingly useless, trivial objects were taken. A photo of one attacker survived, but the subject was unidentified. 2758. A Vandal warband attacked the planet of Boro. Militia responded within minutes, but the Vandal continued until a UEE unit arrived. Upon their arrival, the Vandal withdrew as quickly as they could. The attack lasted 27 minutes, and the value of property destroyed or looted was in the millions. 2789. Hostility between UEE and the Zhan Empire had led to units from both species staying in holding positions with each other. Meanwhile, Senator Akari from Terra independently brokered a treaty with the Zhan. Zhan Empire mirrors began to stand down and fall back. 2792. On April 11th, an entity going by Tide hijacked a news broadcast in the Terra system with a message for the humans. Guarantu was a developing world with a vast array of species. The Imperator and his court means terraformed the planet, killing everything to feed their insatiable greed. Protests began almost immediately, spreading from Terra to Earth and seemingly everywhere beyond. On April 27th, military and police forces killed 230 peaceful demonstrators on Vale. In the Croshaw system, a message was posted encouraging listeners to rip the Imperator out of his throne. On May 3rd, Imperator Messer 19 was indeed replaced. Aaron Toy assumed position of Imperator and immediately made changes. Imperator Toy instituted term limits for Imperator, worked with newly elected senators to restore the tribunal positions of old. The new High General, High Secretary, and High Advocate will work under the Imperator position, but with the power to disempower them should another despot attempt to seize control. 2795. The UEE introduced a new law intended to protect the lives of species on newly discovered planets that have not developed but possess the reasonable capacity for evolution into intelligence. If new life is discovered, the UEE must be notified, who will dispatch a panel to study the life. It may determine that the life is incapable of becoming intelligent. It may forbid terraforming to occur on that planet, or it may classify the planet as a sanctuary. Sanctuaries may not be terraformed. Life forms within sanctuaries must develop without interactions with humans, and the planet becomes entitled to the UEE military protection. 2800. Imperator Marshal Leon opened the Ark. He invited representatives from the Zhan Empire, the Banu, the Protectorate, as well as a delegation of Tavarian. Attempts were made to invite the Vandal, but they were not successful. The Imperator said, "We offer this Ark to the universe as a place to study and a place to meet. The Ark shall act as a political neutral zone where representatives can meet and resolve problems through discourse." 2872. The Imperator announced Project Archangel, which was developed to provide the technology and techniques required to manufacture a new world from scratch. The project was open to the scientists of other species so that all developed species could share what was learned. 2920. Project Archangel had continued for nearly 50 years without developing anything particularly successful. The effort was seen as a way for the people on Earth to console themselves and bury what they have done by massive terraforming efforts throughout the Messer era. Other planets, notably Terra, began to wonder if this project would ever be stopped and if they should separate. 2928. A new candidate for the position of Imperator was introduced, Kilos Kostigan. He had over 2 decades of experience helping dozens of worlds reach the technological equality that most citizens take for granted. He had spent over 2 terms as a High Secretary. 2935. Burning Sky, a story about Squadron 42, focused on Sergeant Terrence Nolan. He grew up wondering what was in the sky that hadn't been seen, and joined the UEE Navy. His first combat experience occurred when he defended a small transport ship being attacked by 4 pirates. Sergeant Nolan was alone but attacked them, destroying 3 and scaring off the 4th. He was later moved to Squadron 42, who made a name for themselves in the Western system hunting Vandal raiders. Sergeant Nolan had been with Squadron 42 for 2 weeks when the carrier he was assigned to was ambushed by the Vandal Scythes. The battle lasted 6 hours, ending with him leading the surviving Squadron 42 pilots to victory. 2942, current day. Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. It took me a long time to make. This is probably the longest video it ever took me to make, but I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you guys stuck through the end, please let me know. If you like this series, let me know. I'm gonna keep doing it because it takes me a long time to get through all this stuff, but it's very informative, and this one lays the blueprint for the rest of the Star Citizen lore, and I really enjoyed it, and it enlightened me because, like I said, I probably would have never read it if I wasn't going to do a YouTube video for it. So I'm glad I actually know what's going on now. But I hope you guys enjoy and have a blessed day. And one more thing, gaming for life.